What up, everybody? Welcome to the IAG Thursday Thing, this thing that we do every Thursday. We don't miss it for nothing. Every Thursday, even if we don't record it on the correct day, but we are today. Where we all hang out, we talk to interesting people, see what's going on around the Subaru world, catch up with each other, and basically just have a good time. I'm joined by my partner in crime and colleague, Warranty. How you doing, sir?
Dewey, it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. No, it's not. It's below freezing and the wind is high here in Chicago. Winter is here and it's awful.
Weather sucks there. Where the hell do you get off saying it's beautiful? It's cold here.
It was 15 this morning, so that's below freezing. The wind was high, 20 mile an hour, just very awful.
Yeah,
the worst.
The worst. That sounds terrible.
This is why people move to Tennessee, Dewey, but you're already there.
Tennessee. We're also joined, who is actually in the chat right now, executive producer Jordan, who takes care of our Discord and a lot of the technical stuff in the background and teaches me not to be a moron. We always appreciate executive producer Jordan for being around. And
shout outs to PJ.
Yep. And then Randy made our thumbnail this week. I'm not sure if I screwed up or he screwed up, but a name got screwed up.
Oh no. Spelling error.
So what I can tell you is the guy who is on our podcast today, his name is not Mike. It is Mark.
It's pretty hilarious on your edit though.
Oh yeah, I made a quick edit. It's so good. I think I'm gonna just use that for the thumbnail. It's too funny.
I would leave it because no one can tell it was altered.
Oh, you can't at all. It was the best Photoshop you've ever seen. So this week we're joined by I don't know if I could, like, the company is definitely OG. I just recently met you when you called in for something. I'm like, man, you'd be super sick to have on the podcast. And you're like, yeah, it'd be cool. And here we are. We're joined by Mark from Company 23. And I'm stoked to have you on, dude. You guys are OGs as far as anybody who's worked on a Subaru, especially an EJ. If they don't have your tools, by the time they're done working on the engine, they're kicking the shit out of themselves for not having your tools.
Yeah, we try to make every Subaru owner's life a little bit easier because you're probably going to need us at some point in time of your ownership.
Yes, and you guys do a great job of it. So we have to talk about something real quick before we get into the meat and potatoes. First off, we gotta talk about this week being Cyber Week. Okay. It's nuts. Black Friday was insane. We blew through all of our doorbusters in immediately. It was crazy. Anybody who's running around saying the economy is trash right now, people are still spending a lot of money. Okay. It was nuts. Warranty, you remember that guy I was telling you about the Resto mod? 04
sure.
STI? Yeah. He's all paid up. That is happening. Like,
you love to see it.
It's so cool. And that's where I think, stuff going on with Mark's company is going to start really coming into play because guys are going to start playing with these in their garage more because they're looking at them as projects more. I think the
Can you catch me up on this Resto mod, Dewey?
What's that?
Catch me up on this Resto mod. What's this guy doing?
Okay, so he's got an 04 STI. Okay, this guy bought an 04 STI. He bought it off of Cars and Bids or something, or Bring a Trailer, one of those. And it's in pretty good shape, but it had been modded kind of poorly. And it has a bunch of the typical 04 STI issues. The struts are a little clunky, and then the engine went. It'd been mildly modded. He was still on side feed injectors. Like, everything is wrong with this thing.
Ew.
Okay. He hit me up, and what he wanted to do is just throw an engine back in it, and he was going to sell it. And we kind of started talking about it, and he's like, I got to be real. Like, this car just really disappointed me. And I started talking to him. I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, man, I wanted to get one of these since I was seeing Petter Solberg slide around corners and winning a World Rally Championship. I've wanted one of these ever since. I just wanted a street going version of that. And, you know, I've driven some nice cars is what he says. And, you know, I'm highly disappointed with the performance of this car. It really handles like crap. And really what I wanted was something I could just bomb down back roads and have a good time. So I'm like, what do you mean by good cars? And he's like, well, I own a couple of GT3 RSs, and he names off like 3 Ferraris. I'm like, holy shit.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
driven some good cars. His email has historics in the email. Like, this is what this guy does. Okay. So either way, we start, I'm like, he's explaining this car, and I'm like, dude, this thing's a disaster. Like, we can modify this thing to significantly more modern standards. The aftermarket has fixed a lot of the problems, like all the clunking and crap you're feeling in the suspension, and it's like wildly firm for no damn reason. That's why so many 04 to 07 STIs have coilovers. Like, they immediately got them because they ride better with coilovers. That's how terrible those things rode. The side feed injectors were notorious for eating engines. There's all sorts of shit. So I'm like, if you really want to keep this car, like, let me build you out a path to do it. And I built him out a path, and I'm not gonna lie, that bill was no joke. In just parts, he was like $50K. Okay.
Oh boy.
He went serious, but he did all of it at once. All right. He did exactly what I said, all of it in one shot. And he's like, well, I'll get back to you. Then a couple weeks later, he got back to me. He's like, yeah, let's do this. I want to do this. I want to live the dream. I'm like, all right, let's do it, man. And the thing that I love about this build, and this is not the first one I've done like this. Okay. I've done a few like this, is they're not building it for numbers. They don't care what the 0 to 60 is. They don't care what this thing makes on a on a dyno. They don't care. What they want is the driving enjoyment. They want the experience of what this is. They want what this thing is in their head. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that I can't.
I want to get beer with this guy.
Oh, dude, he's so
Anybody
cool.
who buys a 21-year-old JDM somewhat economy car that's been souped up to be a little bit more sporty and compares it to a GT3 RS, they're awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's
passion right there.
And he's like, I know this isn't going to be a GT3 RS. I don't want it to be. What I want to do is I can't go bomb down back roads with my GT3 RS, and I am in a constant state of worrying I'm going to wad up a $250,000 car. And I hear nothing but, you know, stories of guys being able to take these and hang with a GT3 RS on these back roads. And I'm like, some of it is because I don't give a shit. He's like, I don't want to give a shit. I'm like, dude, you're there. Like, I love you already. He already spent a bunch of money on some really badass rally wheels. Like this guy is in. He wants to build like a road going WRC style car. It's going to be so much fun. And it's that typical 450 horsepower build that I've done. Just it's bulletproof 450. You know what I mean? It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people I talk to, and they've been through the gamut in terms of setups. And it seems like that 400 to 500 wheel horsepower number, that's about baby bear's porridge. Anything more than that, you end up hitting a tree on said back roads. Anything less than that, you're too stockish. So that's actually where one of my cars is trying to end up be right now.
Like, I say it's the most juice for the squeeze. You're that like low to mid 400s, a Blausch 1.5 XTR, you know, not trying too god awful hard on ethanol is where you land. You will have the most fun with that car than you will for a street car, at least, and you will any other car, unless you like live in Texas and your highways are nothing but straight boring and nothing, and the only people you see on the highway are turbo Corvettes. You want a 450 horsepower STI. It can do everything. So, but let's we might have lost warranty for a second.
Yeah, I got to drop. Boss is calling. I'll be back.
Okay, sounds good. Well, you know what? We'll chat. Mark, let's chat. Let's talk about Company 23 a little bit. He'll be back later.
Let's do it.
Talk about that thing on my wall. So, explain who you are and what you do and the concept of and what Company 23 is. Let's hear your side of it.
Yeah, so I can start from the beginning, Joey, in case anybody's
Do it.
not familiar with us, which I
Let's
don't.
go.
I mean, I think a lot of people in the Subaru industry are, but I'll start from the very beginning. So we are a Subaru Specialty tool manufacturer. Our global headquarters is just outside of Wausau, Wisconsin. We're a Midwest company. We are owned by two gentlemen. Josh in the comments, it's because the first 22 companies failed, and the 23 lived. That's why we're Company 23. That's a joke. That's not real. I'll get into the name. But so yeah, I've been with the company now for about 3.5 years in some form or another. The company was founded back in 2012 by two gentlemen that actually still own the company. They became acquainted through the old Ford Mercure XR4 TIs. They were both enthusiasts on that car
Well, I
way
had
back
no
in the
idea
day.
about that. So you're saying the X4 Ti Mercure like shitbox that we got in the 80s is what we
Yes,
need to
sir.
thank for Company 23, huh?
Yeah, and fun fact that 23 represents that 2.3 liter engine that came in those.
No shit. That's awesome. Okay, cool.
So yeah, so one of the owners had been making tools for Mercures for a long time. Met the other owner, Chad and Ryan are the two guys' names, and Chad at some point in time graduated from the Mercure to a Bug-Eye WRX, and at the time, this is back in 2012, before internet and social media and influencers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The big
At least
Subaru
before
tool
like
producer.
yeah, dude, you guys had to have existed like within the Subaru community before then. Did you really not?
No, yeah,
Wow, you
2012.
guys hit
So
fast and hard then.
yeah, so before then, the Subaru had partnered with a company called Kent Moore to produce like OEM tools here in the
Good.
States. And the tools are really, really expensive and they
Yeah.
were kind of hard to get. Like they weren't really in stock anywhere. So Chad had bought a wrench for his car at some point. I don't remember which wrench or anything, but they basically got it and they were like, this is typical for Company 23. Like if you get something, you see an opportunity, you think you can do it better and you just jump in with 2 feet. So 2012, the company founded, and I forget how many part numbers they had when they started, but year one, it went really well. Year two, year three, and it just kind of kept growing from there. So now we're still a really small company. So there's 5 of us. Um, my
That's
role is
that's wild to even hear that. When you said
really
that to me
small.
over the phone, I'm like, wow, you guys really are that tiny, huh?
Yeah. We're really small, but we're agile. So I will
Yeah.
get into my history and where I came from too in a second. But so yeah, we're located in Wausau, Wisconsin. Chad is one of the owners, lead engineer. He works out of Minneapolis actually, and has a couple other business ventures. And then I'm also located in Twin Cities, so I work remote and I travel back and forth to Wausau as needed. So. Um, we do all our own welding in house. We inventory all our own parts. We engineer and design everything that we do. We utilize some local contract manufacturers, actually not just local, but everywhere basically, to make a lot of our raw parts. We bring them in, we'll weld them, we do finishing, we laser engrave in house and all that stuff. So the last couple of years, we've been investing more heavily into the business and trying to grow it. And actually, a couple years ago, through networking and personal relationships, we ended up contract manufacturing some EV charging stations for another company too. So if you went on our website anytime in the last like 3-ish years, when you go to the website, it would populate 2 different sides of the business. There was Company 23 e-mobility and then Company 23 tools. And we realized quite quickly that there wasn't really any cross pollination and car people don't like EV people sometimes and
Oh,
back and forth. So
I'm not
we
gonna lie,
actually
we
just
ran into that recently too with our own with our own branding because we did IAG started messing around with Broncos.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like we thought that we could kind of get away with having Bronco stuff on IAG, and all it did was confuse the living shit out of our customers. And
Yep.
so that's what we have IAG off-road, like, and it honestly, in my opinion, we waited way too long to do it. But now
Yeah.
both sites are doing great because they separated and they have their own branding, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works, but so we actually
Yeah.
split it completely. So we have Company 23 is specifically Subaru tools. We just expanded into OEM part offering. We still do actually make a couple Ford tools for that 2.3-liter iron block that gave us our
Yeah.
name. And then on the other hand, we have a new company called Mobility One. That's our EV arm. It's completely unrelated, but so that's kind of a standalone business at this point. But yeah, so I think the thing to take away is like we're all car people. So I
Yeah.
have two '04 STIs that one is broken, the other one I just fixed. So listening to you rant about how crappy the '04s were, I'm like, dude, that's why I love my car. Like it's a
Yeah.
blast from 20 years ago. Like it's bumpy, it's clunky, it rattles, and I absolutely love it. It's so much fun to drive. It's loud, it's annoying, it's
They
got
don't
an
make them like
external
that anymore.
wastegate. So yeah, dude, it's awesome. Like I still have dials for my climate control and stuff. Like I don't need touchscreen. But
That's what's up.
I'm ranting about that. But anyway, so yeah, that's a little bit about me. So I do our product design, development, testing. I do our social media and marketing. So if you've ever sent a DM or a message to Company 23's social media in the last almost 3 years, it's been me on the other hand. So we're still super small, kind of like grassroots, kind of how the way things used to be.
Yep.
So yeah, if you ever need anything, anybody, like shoot us a message. It goes to me. I'm a car guy. I have two Subarus that I love, and then Chad and Ryan. Chad is a big German Ford guy, so that's where a German designed Ford. So that's how he got the
Okay.
Merkur back in the day.
Yeah.
He had a fun fact too. Company 23 got some financial backing at the very beginning from Chad selling his Cosworth Escort Cosworth. It was one
Oh.
of the left-hand drive. Like it's an absolute unicorn of a car that if I bring it up, he gets salty because it's probably worth 10 times more than when he sold it 10 or
Oh,
12 years
sure.
ago. And fun fact, this car was actually he sold it, and then a couple years later, it popped up on Wheeler Dealers episode out in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of funny.
I'd be sad.
Um,
Man, that'd kill me. Seeing a car that I like loved and I don't get me wrong, it probably was a smart decision overall, but that's still, if it's the one that got away kind of thing. Yeah, that would be
mhm.
rough.
Yeah, so we used to do this thing on our social media called Company 23 Employee Car Profile. We'd post a picture every Saturday of some car that an employee had owned and a little bit of the background of the story. And the pictures are on there from a couple years ago. I should probably dig them up and repost them
Good.
because I think people love that stuff. But yeah, so Ryan is a BMW guy, but we don't hold that against him. He's got a 4 Series. I'm not super well versed on BMWs, but it's a 4 Series with the M flag on there somewhere. Um, Amanda fulfills our orders. She's our business operations manager and drives a Forester XT, but won't tune it. I keep bugging her to, throw a Cobb tuner on there, but they don't seem to have interest in that. And then Matt and Damon are operations technicians. Matt has, I think he told me last time I talked to him, he had 12 Subarus.
My God.
But he has that drift legacy with the 2.2T blocked with oil squirters. It's just
Yeah.
a super cool stripped out drift car that he he took me for a ride a couple weeks ago in it and lit it up a little bit at a stoplight and broke an axle, and I got it on video, which was both humorous and disappointing at the same time. Yeah, Matt's been in the Subaru game forever, and then Damon also, he's got a bunch of Subarus, and he's been slowly building a Forester XT for way too long, and I keep asking him when it's going to be done. But yeah, so that's our team in a nutshell, man. We work really well together, and we
Yep.
do basically everything ourselves. So it's a super small operation, but that lets us be super agile. So to your question on how do we come up with products or ideas or everything, like it all
Yeah.
stems from we're in the trenches. Like I
Yep.
get time on weekends. Like my wife and I have a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old son. I'm in the garage working on something and it ends up being like, I could use a tool that could do XYZ, or like the engine stand. I've seen a lot of people comment
Oh
on
man,
like
we're gonna talk.
that
We're getting to
came.
the engine stand because that is That, oh my God, what a glorious thing. So let me ask you, what was the first tool you guys made for a Subaru?
Well, when they launched it originally back in 2012, I think there were 15 different part numbers.
Yeah, you
So
guys
they did,
you guys came out fast and hard. You guys had all the cam gear wrenches, and if I remember right, did you guys come up with the cam gear holder?
yes. So
Um,
that's one
did
of our
that
big
come out
claims to
in the
fame.
original?
It did. Yep. I'm 99% sure it did. So that was a huge one for us too. So actually, fun fact, like if I need to go back through our social media again, but
You do.
the original prototype of that cam lock tool we have photos of, and we've put it up there before, and people are like, holy cow, how did that become, this nice polished, yellow tool with
It is
nice
the most
machining on it.
simple design thing, I swear. If you own a Subaru and you have any intention of ever working on it yourself, if you don't own the cam lock tool, you are fucking up. I will just say that right now. And
I've actually never tried to
if you
time one
want to
without it.
ask, if you want to tell your wife to buy you something that isn't freakishly expensive and will make your life a ton easier, it's on our website. It's on a bunch of different websites. That tool is phenomenal.
It is, yeah. And I've actually never tried to time anything without it, so I don't want to know how
It's
good it is
awful.
because I just know it's amazing.
It's
Um,
awful. It's the
yeah,
worst.
fun fact about that tool too is we actually hold the patent on it. So if you want to Google
Really?
it, you can find it. Yeah, it's patented from the day one. So if you see any other company manufacturing a tool that looks like that, they're either infringing on a patent or yeah. So any of the Amazon ones, like that's a patented thing from Company 23 that unfortunately has
You
been
should always just buy from the originals and those who support the community anyway. But yeah, I had no idea that you guys even own that's sick.
Yeah, that's actually something we've been doing a lot more of lately is patenting things for obvious reasons. So,
Yeah.
like we have a patent on the engine stand and many
Oh, the
other
engine
things
stand's
going.
phenomenal too. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to
So
the engine stand, but we're patenting more and more as we go.
that's a good idea because you kind of have to, especially in this day and age, or your Torque Solutions will have your product up on their site in 20 minutes. Um, um,
No comment.
so those who are wondering, the product I'm talking about, part number on that is 506. It is that simple. And if, like I said, if you don't own that, you're effing up. It's so good. It's so cheap. It's $50. Just buy it. If you even think you might blow your shit up one day and you're gonna work on it yourself, buy it. And if
Or
you're ever
even
gonna
if you
time
don't,
your
then
own
it's time for
car,
a timing
buy it.
belt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do anything with a timing belt, buy it. Buy that, and then the cam gear wrenches. So yeah, like I said, you guys came out. I don't know why I just assumed you guys had been around for a million years, but you really haven't. I actually thought you guys were all the way back to like, maybe like '05. No, like
Yeah.
yeah, you came out fast and hard. And that's really awesome. And I also didn't
Yeah.
realize you guys were based out of Wisconsin. That kind of blew my mind too.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Just
yep,
outside Wausau is our Galactic HQ.
that's
No
yeah,
kidding.
yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah, so Warranty, when you're complaining about weather, I'm like, man, I'm sitting here like 20 minutes from St. Paul, Minnesota. So whatever temperature you're
Oh,
complaining about, I'm 15 degrees colder.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. So
You
you're
know
in
what?
deep Wisconsin.
That's your fault.
It's not all bad. I don't know. I try to tell my wife this too, because my wife like has this vendetta to move to the beach somewhere. I'm like, everybody complains about winter, but like I almost enjoy it because life slows down a little bit. Like I can't be driving my car, I can't be riding my dirt bikes. I just go in the garage and I get to tinker without that guilt of like, all right, I should
Okay.
be at an event or I should be
So
somewhere else. So
I'm gonna give you this to a certain degree. And I've noticed that, especially now that I live down in Tennessee and life is people just move a little slower down here. Okay. Um, there seems to be no incentive to make people go do things. So I grew up in Western Michigan. So you'd get piles of snow during the winter and be cold as hell. And what are you going to do? Okay. So you kind of stay inside, play some video games, work on some stuff in the garage, do whatever you're going to do. Right. Um, and then in the summer, man, you go hard all summer long. Every weekend,
Yep.
you go like hell until wintertime where you call it quits again. So it's like you're either on or off. Down here, it's like nobody ever really switches on. And everybody's just like, well, I'll do it next weekend. You know what I mean? Like there's no urgency to go do something. It's definitely a different mindset. It's not all bad. Like I could go out. I'm avoiding going outside, and I think it's 40 degrees here, and I don't want to go do rear brakes on my cross track, and I'm complaining. I've turned very tropical. But
Shorts weather.
yeah, but I mean, it's not 20 below. I don't have a foot and a half of snow on the ground either. So
Right.
yep. So yeah, I there's something to that. There really is. Warranty, welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's a joy to be able to record a podcast at the office, but I'm doing work, so here we are.
So
Keep
I want to
your
get
boss
to my
happy.
second favorite
Absolutely.
part that you guys make. Okay. And this is something you guys made, let's call it fairly recently, which it's been out a little while now. That is your engine stand. That thing is amazing. Okay. The problem with a Subaru engine stand, my biggest bitch about it was you had to put the engine on a cherry picker to then take the flywheel on or put it on or take it off. This is open on the side so you can get to anything on the backside of the engine you want to also. Oh my God. If you work on Subarus, how can you not own that? We got Dylan in the chat going, I want one. Yes, he does. Anybody who works on Subarus, again, I don't know how you can't own that. If you're constantly messing with engines, you want this.
Yeah, and that's definitely like our flagship product. That's one
Oh,
that I'm
good.
super proud to be a part of and do the design work and development on it. It's also somewhat traumatic for me. Because the one that you see on the website, I'm sure if anybody's been around Subaru a couple years, it's actually our second version of it. And I guess I'm not afraid to tell the story.
No,
It's a
dude,
small company.
this is
Shit
that part
happens.
of the
Like,
story is you have to because you're developing
yeah.
product. So let's do
So
it.
I feel like this is like we talked about this on the phone a while back, Dewey. Like
Yeah.
some people are afraid to, show their failures or whatever. But hey, man, we're men. We're humans. We're not perfect. Stuff happens.
No.
So, fun fact: the reason our engine stand is so good is because we redid it. So the first one that we came out with, we did a ton of development on with local shops here in the Twin Cities. A ton of prototyping, a ton of idea generation with Subaru mechanics, within ourselves and with local shops, and we had all these ideas. We launched it. Everything was great. We had them in stock in our Wisconsin, HQ, and one of them got to a customer and said, "This thing's awesome, but it would have been nice like if the stock turbo would have fit." I went, "Oh, am I allowed to swear?"
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
You sure are.
I was like,
Yeah,
"Ah,
this is a car meet, dude.
shit."
It's a car meet. Okay. That's
right,
what
so
this is. Yep.
I went, shit. And what had happened was we had done all our testing and all our feedback and all that stuff just with bare long blocks. So we had
Yeah.
clearance for the clutch, we had clearance for engine mounts, we had clearance for everything except the stock turbo mounting brackets. And I went, shit. So we kicked around the ideas for like this goes back to we're a super small privately held company by two guys. Like we reviewed it and we're like, all right, well, if we want to do the shitty thing, we just keep selling it, but we want to do the right thing. So we literally like anybody who had purchased an engine stand at $300, we sent everyone an email. We refunded them $100, told them what had happened, offered to swap them out if they had wanted. So we gave them $100 back, and then we went back to the drawing board. So like and then we also knocked $100 off the price. So we're like, if anybody wants one of these, like we'll completely transparent. It doesn't fit stock turbo. We'll knock $100 off. Like, sorry, that's our bad. But if you're okay with that, or you're running rotated or something, like no big deal. It'll work for you.
Sure.
So did that, contacted everybody, kind of did our due diligence. I wrote the public apology myself. If you want to scroll back on our Instagram,
Wow.
it's still on there. So that was, I mean, I was working a full-time job in corporate America at that time and then moonlighting for Company 23. So I was still working like nights and weekends on this stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a gut punch of like, oh shit, this is like the most proud thing I am. And like, I effed it up. And I was like, God damn it. So I walked around with my tail between my legs for a couple days and then reviewed it with the owners. And we're basically like, well, we need to fix this. And if we're going to fix it, we're going to make it even better. So we went completely back to the drawing board. We completely redesigned the legs. We made more clearance for clutch alignment tools. We changed the legs completely around. So now it fits stock turbo. It fits everything with room to spare. We added some more clearance for like the back oil separator cover on the back of the engine
Yep.
cases. There's more clearance for all the screws in there. So we polished up absolutely everything, completely retooled it, and that's what's available today. So if you buy one, just know you're going to be super happy with it because there's a lot of time and love in that thing, man. There's
I
a
mean,
lot of hours, a lot of
I
blood, sweat,
gotta
and
be
tears, I
real.
guess.
Like, $300 is extraordinarily reasonable for that thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of funny because, like, some people like to gripe about the price of stuff. And I'm like, well, if you really back it up, man, like, this thing is cut, welded, finished everything in the upper Midwest. Like,
Yes.
unfortunately, my welder or our welder, Matt, like, he doesn't work for free. So
Oh,
if he did, like,
what do
we
you
could knock some
mean?
money off the price.
Don't
But
awe.
welding is not really a cheap thing to pay for. So, we have overhead and all that crap that goes along with running a business. And, $300. If you want one, here it is. If not, then you can't have
Yeah.
one.
No, and that's what it needs to be. You know what I mean? It's worth every penny. And that's I I might catch some shit for this, but I'm gonna say it. Um, I'm not a big fan of like Black Friday and all of that when it comes to especially product with not tons of margin in it, you know what I mean? People are
Mhm.
gonna it's gonna be a gift giving holiday. It's gonna be, Walmart's gonna do whatever Walmart's gonna do. But like the performance industry, to me, I feel like it cheapens the product. Okay. So like the fact that you guys don't do Black Friday sales, I think is a good thing. I like knowing that the price is the price,
Mhm.
because what you end up doing is training your customers to wait for stuff. I don't want to be this guy, but like
Agree.
3 weeks before our sale, like we did nothing. And then like a week out, I would have somebody call and go, "Hey, like I want to buy an engine or whatever." I could not in my right mind say, "Dude, you need to call me back on this day." But what you end up doing is training customers to wait for sales versus this is just the price. And I think it cheapens the product. I don't I got to be real. Like maybe that's a hot take, and I got a feeling there's people who want to argue with me, within this organization on that, and that's how I feel.
I
I'm really
agree
not a
with you
fan.
100%, Dewey. Like, to your comment on the performance industry, like if you look at businesses as a whole, like the amount of volume that anybody in the Subaru community moves is nothing compared to big companies that do the really big Black Friday sales, right? So,
Yeah, we're
like your
not
point too,
slam
like
dunk. You know what I mean?
yeah, right, yeah, exactly. Like like nobody takes a pay cut around Black Friday to keep the margins the same at companies.
Exactly.
So blowing stuff out for a ton of discount, yeah, it kind of does the opposite of supporting a company, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is it's rough. And then the rest of for the next like 2 months, you basically have to explain why the price is the price, and then yeah, I don't know. It drives me up the wall. I believe especially since, the volume that gets sold around this time, if we were to untrain that behavior, I believe we could maybe even sell the product for slightly less all the time. and everybody would
Yeah.
win because we're not
Right.
taking such a hit at this point. That's my 2 cents. I'm sure there's a lot of theory behind it. It was Paul Yaw, the owner of Injector Dynamics.
Mhm.
He's avidly against Black Friday sales and all that too, and he had some really really good insight on his wall. If you get a chance to wander on Facebook, that was really entertaining. But the price is the price because that's what they came up with to make a quality product. You know what I mean? That's the price that you guys came up with to make a quality product. So
Yep.
if you're discounting that, it's discounting the quality of that product, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we're trying to play the game a little bit when it comes to Black Friday, and so this
Don't
year,
don't
this year we didn't
advertise.
discount
Put your money
anything,
in for
but
advertising. Don't put your money in killing your margins. Okay.
we just did. If you place an order for a certain dollar threshold that wasn't that high, we'd throw in a free bottle opener. So our
That's
bottle
okay.
openers,
Like
yeah,
that. I
Yeah,
can
that's
deal
cool.
they
with
were
that. Or
never.
a T-shirt or some stickers or something. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
that's all we did. Like it's free marketing to have it in somebody's toolbox somewhere. So
yeah,
Another reason why it's important not to kill your margins is that this is a luxury good at the end of the day. Like, this
really
is
is.
not oatmeal.
No.
yeah, this isn't a
Modding their
complete
Subarus.
commodity.
You don't need to do this. Okay. These are extreme first world problems. And honestly, if we would stop with this insane discount mindset within this industry, I think we would make better products because more people could afford to work in this industry. You know what I mean?
Totally agree.
So, I mean, what do I know? I'm just some guy who's been around way too long.
So jumping into this conversation halfway through,
Sure.
it's pretty cool, Mark, to hear you're basically bragging about the failure because it came out
Should
so
be.
much better in the end.
Yeah, I know it like hurts to say on a public stage, but at the same time, I'm super proud of the
No.
engine stand that we sell now, and that wouldn't be there without that first one. So, yeah, I
Dude,
mean,
there's got to be version 2. No, I'm serious, man. I think you guys, if you made the perfect product in the first time, or even if it was close, you never would have improved and made something better.
right, 100%.
I
But
think,
yeah, so I'm super proud of that engine adapter. It came out really, really nice. Everybody that's gotten one has been super pumped on it. So that's my baby.
yeah, that
Now,
thing's sick.
do you get sales from SOA, Subaru of America?
Not
Yeah, that's a good
currently.
question. Okay, do you guys have like SOA hitting you up going, I want to buy, dealers who are like, I want to buy like 6 at a time of everything or whatever, like they're trying to like outfit their guys for that?
So we did many years ago. They hit us up, and this was before my time, so it's secondhand knowledge. But they wanted like relay pliers, so pliers to grab relays out of the box and pull them out that were specific for Subaru relays. So made a ton of them for them, and they were like an exclusive thing through SOA. And I don't think anything ever materialized after that. So we don't currently. I'm not really sure why. I don't know of them ever hitting us up to ask after that. But it's kind of interesting because Kent Moore, I don't think makes tools at all anymore.
Brother, you need to put on your sales hat and you need to make some phone calls. That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
It's probably not because they
Yeah.
don't like you. It's probably for some other reason, like
That's probably true.
What's interesting though is like a lot of technicians at dealers and stuff will hit us up and either buy their own tools or they get bought through a dealer or small shops hit us up, stuff like that, but not the big mothership. They haven't talked to us in quite a while. So I'm not really sure
Okay.
whatever happened with that, but
Huh?
yeah, I'd
Well,
love to sell the
whatever,
snap
they're
on
lost.
stuff.
I mean, but
Whatever.
to me, it makes sense, especially any performance shop, like any performance shop in this country. I guarantee you can walk in if they work on Subarus. You can walk in and they're gonna have a pretty solid stack of Company 23 tools. If they don't, you need to really question what the hell you're doing there.
Yeah, it's kind of fun because like here in the Twin Cities, I'm a member in MN Subies on the Facebook group and everything, and
Yep.
I'll randomly post up and they're like, "Hey, I need a junk." Like I just picked up a junk timing belt because I needed one to do some fit up and stuff, and like I'll have a couple people hit me up and they're like, "I don't know why you need this stupid thing, but here you go." And I'm like, "Well, I work for Company 23." Da da da. And they're like, "Oh yeah, totally."
Oh
And
yeah,
like
I
they'll
love
give
you.
it to
Here, have
me
it.
and.
Hey.
I'll hook them up with a bottle opener or something, or a discount code or something.
Nice.
I mean,
Yeah, I source a lot of our test parts that way off, used stuff from Facebook.
why wouldn't you?
That tracks.
But,
So that's one thing that I think goes a long way too, is we're super resourceful. So like you guys were surprised that we're only 5 or 6 people, but
yeah,
we like our engineering base, not to toot my own horn, is like really advanced. Like a lot of the stuff that we have is, we what's that called? We punch over our weight class or whatever. So we have found ways to do everything from 3D scanning to high-end welding to all that stuff without having to like make giant financial purchases and things like that. So like we needed some test equipment for one of our products too, for our business on the other side, and instead of spending 30, 40, 50 grand on having some company come in and do it for us, we just figured out a way to do it ourselves. So we bought a
yep.
bunch of like commercially available stuff that anyone can buy on Marketplace or Menards or whatever, wired up an Arduino, wrote our own control code, and built our own test equipment, I think for like, $700. So
Yep.
we're super
used to think-
resourceful in that.
I used to think that was, okay, you haven't made it yet, but now I realize you have to do that basically forever, regardless of the size of your company. It's just
You absolutely do. Hell, we're still doing a bunch of that. Like
Yeah.
spend 50 grand on insane ass test equipment, or build something that's very specific to what you're trying to do. If you have a room full of nerds, you can pretty much build anything you need for significantly cheaper than whatever this fancy shit is, and it's going to be way more set up for what you are doing.
That's right.
Yep. And I think that's how companies sink or swim, honestly. So not to overextend
yeah.
themselves
Right,
on
the
stuff
mindset.
that doesn't actually make them money. Yep.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. You got to spend money to make money, but that doesn't mean you have to spend all your money to make money.
You got to be smart with it. So
You
like,
got to be
That's
smart with
right.
it.
I would love to go drop 100 grand on the latest and greatest Creaform 3D laser scanner because I would nerd out over it more than anything. But the payback on it is too long, and we have a guy here locally that owns it, and we pay him hourly. And
actually, that
that's
works out pretty good for you guys. We got to
Sure.
We got all that shit. So, but
yeah,
I get it.
it's a much easier pill to swallow than 100 grand. So even though
Yeah.
I would love one, don't get me wrong.
You guys got anything cool coming out? You got something new coming down the pipe? Anything you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, we got a ton of stuff coming.
Yeah.
I don't really want to spill the beans yet, but
Fair.
maybe if you
That's
tune
fair.
into if you want to see something new in a couple weeks, turn into Mr. Tanner Smedia's YouTube channel.
Oh, there you go.
Look at that, Mr. Smedia.
Tanner, he's getting the frickin' hookups. Oh my god.
He's got an unreleased product that he's going to be showing off, and then will be commercially available soon after that. So
That's a great
fucking
collab.
Tanner. He's so
Nothing
killing
super-
it. I
nothing-
love him, dude.
I do too. I've been bullshitting with him a lot lately, but yeah, he's got some stuff that's pretty bougie.
He's been
So-
on the show twice. And he hangs out in our chat quite a bit. Tanner's good people.
Yeah,
I disagree with him on a lot of his approach to certain things, but yeah, Tanner is really good people.
Really?
He came in here with a terrible idea and brought all of his receipts and made us change our mind. So
I did not change my mind. I still think it's a shit idea, but I'm all for him. I want to see this shit idea actually function.
Are you talking about the backwards engine, EG?
Yes, it's
yeah,
shit idea. But
I think it's a great idea.
I want to do it. I want to see this happen, but it doesn't make it a good idea.
I mean, we don't know. It could be
I
a
support
great
it though.
idea.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be shit. Like I've been around long enough to know this is gonna be ass, but it's gonna be awesome ass. Okay.
Well, I'm not paying for it, and I'm not having to build
Yeah,
it. So
we
I'm
all
gonna keep
get to
watching.
sit here and watch his misery. I'm down.
Oh man, I really hope he gets it working though, just because I want to see if it works.
Yeah, no, I do. I want him to make it function. I want to go drive it, but I want to
Hell yeah.
see if does it. This is a chassis that has not been developed in any way for the weight to be where they're putting it. I'm really interested to see what it does to chassis dynamics because I think it's going to be terrible, which is going to make it probably highly entertaining to drive. It ain't going to be fast, but it's going to be really entertaining.
Yeah.
Or terrifying. One or the other. Maybe both.
It's gonna be awesome to watch, dude. I can't wait to see when he gets it all dialed in and takes it to a track, because you know he will someday.
Oh, I'm not letting him not do that. So
all the weight's off a trailer on the back bumper.
Are you putting any fun projects together here? Were you doing something with your 04 STIs or anything?
Yeah, so I have two 04 STIs because I'm a glutton for punishment. And
yes,
the story went, I still have it. It's a Java Black Pearl 04 that I bought at the height of COVID for like nothing. And I flew out to Michigan, actually up to Western Michigan. I was in Grand Rapids.
Best Michigan
area. Okay, I probably know the guy.
Yeah, probably. So I bought it in Grand Rapids like January of 2021, drove it through Iowa, saw a buddy who I see is actually in the audience right now, Isaac, and then drove it back up to the Twin Cities. And, you know, that was supposed to be the fun car. Like, I put IG 1050s in it, top feed, external wastegate, cob intake, had it tuned here in the Twin Cities. Like, it was a solid, like, 325 wheel horsepower, 365 foot-pounds of torque, like just a fun stay out of jail, stoplight to stoplight car, right? So like back roads in Wisconsin, great car. That one ended up being really reliable, so I didn't have anything to build. So about a year and a half ago, I bought a silver 04 STI. They used to make like 700 wheel horsepower from a dude down in Madison. And it had lifted a head on them and melted the deck of the head and melted the deck of the block and done a bunch of damage. But I had a bunch of good parts to it. So I drove down, bought it, picked it up, brought it back, thinking like, okay, now I have my Java Black Pearl one I can drive, and then I'll have my silver one that I can work on. And I have like the best of both worlds because I like building almost as much as I like driving. And then the black one broke a ringland.
That never happened.
How about that?
I mean, the black one, like, to be fair to it, it had 163,000 miles on the original unopened long block. So no, it didn't. I bought it with 157 on it. It was all stock. I put a bunch of parts on it and was making like mid threes, like I said. And I mean, stock block, like it just gave up the ghost, and it was fine. I drove the hell out of that car. Like it was on 19 pounds, and you know, you stomp on it, it would be full boost by like 3,000 RPMs, and that thing was an absolute hoot on the back roads. Like it was just great. But the ringland, you know,
you use them for what they're good at. They're phenomenal. Like people get angry. They're like, these cars suck. Well, what were you doing with it? Well, I was drag racing. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to talk anybody out of drag racing with the car, but that's really not what like it was thought out to do. You know what I mean?
Right. And you know what's funny, to go back to that dude who had the GT3 RSs and bought a GD and was comparing it or whatever. My neighbor across the road has a 2012 E92 M3 with the active AeroWorks supercharger kit on it that they claim makes like between 600 or 700 horsepower, meth injection, all that shit, right? So he's a lawyer, and you know, he's got the lawyer sports car and typical guy, right? So we got to be buddies, and we'd go out and drive and stuff, and we switched cars one time, and he drove my Java Black Pearl one when it was still running, and he got out and was like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, that was like the most fun I've ever had in a car, and like completely changes what I think about cars. Because, you know, his BMW is big and comfy, like great grand touring road trip car, but on back roads, he was like mashing the throttle and giggling like a schoolgirl while the wastegate was singing away, you know, like it was just a blast. So
it's getting up on numbers, man. It ain't about numbers. It's about experience. It's about smiles per mile, man.
That's right. And that's why my silver car, I am shooting for numbers.
Oh, boo.
Well, let me know. Maybe we can figure something out, help you guys shoot for some numbers.
He will sell you a number.
I will sell you a number. I can do that too.
Right. So to go back to my cars, like the black one, I just got it all fixed up. I put a new short block in it, got the heads done by Head Games, and built different fuel lines for it. A little bit random stuff I did to it, but that one's finally back on the road, just in time to put it away for the winter because I don't want it to rust too bad.
Yeah.
Now I can finally get back going on the silver one. So the silver one is like, 6266. Right now it's got a home built rotated kit on it from previous guy, ID 1700s,
All
the
right.
whole 9 yards. So that one,
It's
like
fun.
I want the silver one to be exactly what you just said not to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want the silver one to be like you get in it and it's almost like a project to drive.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching one of Vin Atra's videos the other day on YouTube, and he was talking
Yep.
about I think it was I forget if it was his Ferrari or Porsche or whatever. No, it was Scotto. Scotto was
Yeah.
talking about his RWB, and
Yes.
he didn't let BBI screw with it because he's like, dude, I want to start it with a key and not a laptop.
Yes.
Well, I want to start my silver STI with a laptop.
Well, I tell you what's going to happen. You're going to build this monstrosity, and when it's done, it's going to be nuts. Okay. And what's going to happen is it's going to make you appreciate your black car so much more.
Probably.
You will fall madly in love with your black car. So you're in Wisconsin. You're in one of my favorite places on earth to do one particular winter activity that I'm very sad I can't do when I'm down here.
Oh,
Ice race?
Do you go ice racing?
I don't, but
You're
the
fucking
owner.
up.
So I know. One of the owners of Company 23, though, Chad. This is a fun fact. He used to ice race a 6-speed swapped SVX.
Sick.
Yeah, that's the way.
That's my guy, dude.
Let's go.
Yeah, so not to poo-poo on Tanner, but he was all bummed when he heard Tanner's car start up when it had the 4-inch long fender exit exhaust.
Yeah.
Because he was like, man, when I had my SVX, he had an exhaust on it and it sounded like a Porsche. And Tanner's was just like, it didn't really sound like much other than loud.
Mm-hmm.
So
those 6 cylinders, they sure sound good.
I'm going to tell you need to go ice racing. We're going to try to make it up for the Grid Life ice racing event this year. They almost
There's
always
a Grid Life ice racing event?
Yeah, they do it in February. They team up with ASM and whatever the group is that ASM's really close to. Yeah, they've done it a few years. They call it Ice Battle, and it is a fucking riot.
Yeah, I want to do that.
So last year they probably didn't do it though because we had
I
the
don't
most
think they could
mild
do it
winter ever. Yeah.
Yeah, they've had a few fairly mild winters but any year they can do it, they do it. And it's almost always like beginning of February sometime. I know it's usually after Snowdrift, so it's like beginning of February sometime. And oh my god, dude. It's so fun. It's dirt cheap. We'd have a riot.
You don't need power to win.
And then just join, because the classes are super simple. It's drivetrain and what tire you have. Okay, so there's all season all-wheel drive, all season snow tire, and then all season studded, and then all-wheel drive studded. So all-wheel drive for the 3, and then 2-wheel drive for the 3. That's it.
Those are the classes. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. They got some dudes who go out there and full blast like nutcase rally cars on studs. And one of the craziest cars I've ever seen out there has been an S2000 on studs. And
that's
crazy. It's insane, dude. It looks like so much fun in these 2-wheel drive cars with studs, but the 2-wheel drive cars and snow tires, they ain't having a great time. But the all-wheel drive snow tire turns into a war zone. It's by far the biggest class, and it brings out psychopaths. What's really crazy though is every time I've got my ass beat by the same guy. I've gotten like 3rd or 4th every year. And it's this dude in an NA Forester who literally just disconnected his rear sway bar. It's an NA manual Forester with a disconnected rear sway bar and snow tires. That's it. You don't need shit for power. I brought turbo GCs up there. I brought STIs up there. I've driven other people's cars up there. And this same dude just mops the floor with me every year.
That's so cool.
Yep. It's the easiest thing you can do with your car. There's no way. It's almost impossible to like seriously hurt it. Like you're not going to blow an engine. You're not going to do it because there's no load. You know, yeah, you
Right,
might
right,
see
right,
some
just
rev, but
spinning.
there's literally no load because you're just spinning.
Makes me
Oh,
want to
it's a
just like
riot.
find a cheap bug eye and just beat the crap
Oh,
out of
dude,
it.
that's what it's about. That is what it's about. Honestly, the right answer is something NA, like an H6 swapped like shitbox wagon. An H6 swap like L wagon would be mint.
Ooh. I didn't know
Yeah.
they did that. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna
Yeah, it's
man.
fun.
Maybe
It is a
spend more
really
money.
good time. One year they actually made a they drew out Gingerman in the snow.
That's
Which
cool.
it was hilarious. Yeah. Like
That's
they
pretty
made some
cool.
cool stuff for that event. It's a lot of fun. All right, we got to talk about a topic. We're quickly running out of time, and I want to talk about a topic.
Okay, what's their
I
topic?
posted on my wall last night. I don't know if you've seen this, Warranty.
I've seen it. Didn't read all the comments.
The first thing that it says, I wanna read this for exactly. I have to say it verbatim, or it's gonna lose it. Okay, it says women. Okay, so the very first word in this is women. Simple question: is a guy who can drive stick more or less attractive? Again, I really have to emphasize the very first word in this is women. Okay. We're at 127 comments, and the data from this has been wild. I will say 90% of women or that I've seen in here, it's probably about 9 out of 10, and there's been quite a few women who have said something. The majority, the vast majority of them have been like, yes, it does make a guy more attractive. But I think the better explanation is it's not so much that it moves the needle up as much as if you don't know how to drive stick, it moves the needle back. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a detractor if you can't do something. Now, also, if you run around going, I drive a really fast sports car and I'm really awesome at driving stick all the time, that's not helping the situation. And the other thing is, this isn't a conversation about driving a car or having a car with a stick makes you more attractive. It's just driving a stick. This could be a dump truck. It doesn't matter. But then, oh my God, did the dudes come running in here with their opinions? Some very notable names. Immediately were like, it doesn't matter. Your car is attracting dudes. It was 90+% the other way, that it absolutely does not matter. And all the guys took this as you're trying to attract a woman with a car, which wasn't the question in any way. And I mean, I literally like damn near lectured by most of these guys. It was insanity. So for the first time in my life, even though I am a male, last time I checked, which was about 20 minutes ago when I went and took a piss, I have been mansplained to. So honestly, what I want to do is I hope Stephanie has her mic. Does Stephanie have a mic? Because if she does, I want to bring Stephanie on stage and hear her take on this.
Get Stephanie on the phone. We need this.
Come on, Steph. You got a mic or not? Let's hear it. I don't bring you on stage very often, but you are the resident female. We'll see. Hold on. Either way, let me get her. Okay, Josh is going to find her. So I could not believe, honestly, whether the women thought it one way or another. What I couldn't believe is how many guys felt that they had to make sure they like drove their opinion in there. If this is what women are dealing with all the time, I feel bad.
It is.
And this is like, I get it now. And if I've ever done this, I'm sorry. This is my public apology. I'm here. Okay, Stephanie, I'm pulling you up on stage. I want to hear your opinion on this. All right, here we go. Steph,
Hello?
what's up? Hi.
Hold on.
No, I can hear you just fine. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Steph, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I want to hear your opinion on the post I made on my wall.
So, yes, driving stick does make a man more attractive. However, he should also be able to teach me how to drive a stick.
I feel like you're
That's
looking at somebody when you say that.
Oh man, here we go.
It was a sad experience. I cried.
So let's talk
Aw.
about this just from a straight female perspective. Okay.
Mhm.
I want to ask you some of these things. Okay, so as a straight female, if we're talking about some guy, we're not really necessarily the conversation as I understood it isn't so much about a guy having a really cool car that is a stick. It is just the process of knowing how to drive stick or control something with a stick, operate the machinery. It could be a dump truck, it could be a semi, it could be a sports car, it could be a Kia.
I wouldn't necessarily say Kia, but okay.
I mean, it just the like here, let me put it this way. This is how I envision the question. We got a whole bunch of people at a party, okay? And you brought your new date with you, okay? And
Mhm.
you're with your family and whatever. And for some reason, a bunch of cars need to get moved. And like he's trying to be a cool guy and go out there, and then one of the cars happens to be a manual transmission, and he goes, "I can't drive stick." Please tell me, would that be would that affect the attractiveness of this person?
100%.
How would it not?
It doesn't matter if they can drive, it doesn't matter what they drive, but if you're a dude and you say I can't drive a stick,
It,
eh,
it's a
my attractive level to
capability
you
thing.
goes
You know what
down.
I'm saying? It has absolutely nothing to do with like you drive a cool car or not. It's if you can't do this, you're kind of like what else can't you do? You know what I mean? Like it that's how I looked at it.
So I
Anyway,
was reading through the comments on the Facebook question,
yes.
and some men got very offended by the question. I was shocked by that because the question is geared towards women. What is a woman's opinion on can a guy drive a stick or not? It doesn't matter what it is. Like you
Yes.
said, it could be a
Right.
dump truck or it could be a Porsche, it could be whatever. It doesn't matter. If a guy can't drive a stick, then yes, you are less attractive, even if you're an incredibly hot guy. But if you can't drive a stick, you're going down a lot.
Yeah. I feel like if on a scale of 1 to 10 that you're going to eat 2 points on that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or more. Or
I mean, depending on how you put that capability, but like I don't know. That's just where I came up. I was interested to hear your take on that. I mean, you're like the OG of OG listeners, so we got to bring you on for the female perspective.
wouldn't miss it.
What's worse, not being able to drive stick or not being able to change a flat tire?
Oh, great question.
Great question.
Or change your own oil. I guess those are like the three ones that
I
pop
can
in my
change
head.
my own oil, so don't go there.
Sorry.
I
I
have
mean,
changed
for a
my own
dude,
oil, and I've changed the spark
let's
plug.
say you're going somewhere with a guy, like first date, whatever, and he gets a flat tire and he calls AAA
That's like
or his-
a what the
or his
fuck, really?
dad. He's got a flat, so he calls his dad.
That helps.
I mean, what's you can't tell me that wouldn't put a huge ding in the rest of the night would be weird.
Yeah, that would be an immediate like call your girlfriends and like, hey, I went out with this guy, super attractive, drove a decent car, but we got a flat on the way and he couldn't change his own tire and he had to call his dad. That's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I don't know how you come back from that.
That's like you might not get a second date out of that one.
I don't know. I mean, that dude better be rich.
We're supposed to ask you about doing external wastegate on STI.
Okay, so what?
Josh in the chat.
Yeah, that's her husband. So yeah.
I put that together, but I really wanted to ask because I just did an external gate and STI. It was horrible.
Yeah,
So
let's hear about it. So what did you do? You helped Josh put in an external wastegate and an STI. You're being
it's
naughty and
Josh.
breaking
So
EPA rules.
apparently I'm a part of a club. So Josh has been building his 2020 STI for a while, and I can turn
You need
wrenches.
Play the
I have no
Sawzall away
problem
from
turning
that man, by the
wrenches. I have
way.
no problem turning oil, changing oil. No
Yep.
problem doing that. Well, he tells me to get under the car, so I do. And I think he sent the picture to Dewey of me under the car, which I am embarrassed by, but whatever. And we were putting the external wastegate on with the dump tube, and it ended up around my nose. So
Ooh.
didn't break my nose, had a gash across my nose.
Ew.
Yes, the wastegate and the dump tube did end up on my nose, and then I was told that I am part of some club now.
Kinda. Like you gotta bleed for your car, okay? And I'm not gonna lie, messing around with parts over in that area, I've definitely dumped shit on my face before. Probably drew blood.
I think it was payback though, because I might have dropped the drive shaft of the STI on Josh's nose.
Nice. Well played.
I might have. He said, "Do you have it?" I said, "Sure." And then I backed up and it fell on his face. People.
Oh,
It's brutal.
So I think it might have been payback for that. But yeah, the whole wastegate and the dump tube fell on my nose.
So it's basically things on cars Josh is working on breaking or smashing into people's faces and or nose club. That's what we got. All right.
Do we also have to ask the second question that I asked in the chat, or not in the
Which one?
chat, in the Facebook post?
Okay.
So you have to ask women about handbrake turns. Proper handbrake.
We can bring that up. So like I'm gonna need some clarification of this. Okay. So
Is
are
it
we talking?
that a guy can do a proper handbrake turn? Yes or no?
Oh, but I have to ask because it's in context here, okay? Because it's the same thing about a dude who can drive stick. If he constantly talks about how awesome he is driving stick, that ain't. That's actually more of a detractor than advantage in my opinion. But I'm not a female. But I could see how just being a braggy personality probably just doesn't come off great. Okay, so let's say you're on a date with a guy and he gives you this weird ass look and he's like, watch this, and yanks the e-brake and pulls a cool handbrake turn. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're like, shit, I missed my corner. And then he just throws the most perfect handbrake turn ever to turn around. What's more badass?
Fuck.
Yeah. See, the
They're both
context
pretty
is different.
sexy.
No, I'm proud of you, and you're a part of the problem. Okay, so the having a skill to do something is awesome if you don't need to brag about it. So if you just use the skill, and then act like nothing happened, tell me that doesn't ooze confidence so much more than like, giving the look and start yanking the e-brake like a fucking juvenile.
Oh my god.
Am I right or wrong? It's your opinion.
All right, so actually, like giving the look and doing it, yeah, kind of okay. Meh. But if you're in a situation and you do the proper handbrake turn, like you
Tell
missed
me
the
that's
turn,
not at least bonus points.
you're gonna go up more on the scale, I think. Then
Did you not? I mean, oh boy just pulls off the perfect, like that's what he decides to do. Turns out perfectly, 10 out of 10. You guys go back the other direction. And he acts like nothing even happened. Like, yeah, this is Tuesday.
date night on a Tuesday. Interesting.
I mean, if you're gonna, yeah. I mean, it's Tuesday. That's a safe day to go on a date, by the way.
Oh, restaurants are busy on Fridays. It's a typical date night.
Yeah, if you're trying to have a proper conversation, okay, if you want to have a conversation with a lady, you're supposed to go on a Tuesday or a Wednesday.
All right, so is it more sexy to a guy if a girl is interested in the car or can work on the car?
Okay. This is great. Okay. These are good questions. We should almost make an entire episode out of this. Mark, you could even come back if you want to get in on this one. Okay.
Man,
So but we all should answer this. Okay. Because I have my own opinions on this because I've been on a few different sides of this now. Okay. So this is assuming that like this is one of the things I like about warranty and I is cars are in some variation of something are my basically 3/4 of my life. It's huge. Okay. Warranty, this is like a side gig, good time for him. A lot of his, friends in the community, that's kind of like how it's more compartmentalized, I should say. Is that fair to say warranty?
100%. I like
Okay.
cars, but I don't have that emotional connection like you do.
Okay. So this would be a little different for each of us. Now, for me, this is such a big part of my life that asking somebody to have to like constantly wrench or something on a car isn't fair. Now, if this person wanted to be a part of it and it was totally their choice, that's fine. But the problem is you're then going to cross into you're also like kind of a part of the team and it's going to cause arguments and friction. Personally, for me, now this is also me being older and looking back and seeing what happens when you have somebody who wants to wrench on the car versus somebody who wants to like really be a part of the team. I tend to be more of the belief that I would want somebody who's supportive of whatever they're doing. You guys are both supportive of what each other does, but maybe you don't like get too involved, maybe here or there, but like I think it just ends up causing friction. And maybe that's my own personal experience. But I don't think it would make a girl more or less attractive if she's not into cars. I think just being like supportive of whatever I'm doing, legitimately supportive, to me, that would make it attractive. Or, and going to maybe some of these events or whatever and being supportive, but not expecting them to have to like pull their weight. You know what I mean?
Well, I was just curious what your opinion was on the question
Yeah.
because I'm
With that
different.
stated too, I'm not intimidated by a girl who can work on her own car. That's not what I'm trying to get at. And I think that's absolutely awesome. I just don't think they should be forced into having to pretend they like it when a lot of times they do not. But they're supportive of you being into it. And sometimes I've ran into this where they act like they're about it. And then you really find out they're really not.
I mean, Josh can tell you how much we fight down in the garage. 100%.
I don't care who's in the garage with me. Dudes, cats, frickin' women. I don't give a shit. My 5-year-old, we're arguing. It's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah, my wife is not into
That's true.
cars at all. She
Yeah.
doesn't care anything about it. She gets in her Ford Edge, hits the button, away she goes. I had to like educate her on everything car related. She just wants to get in and have it work. Right? So honestly, I kind of prefer it that way, like the way you're talking about, Dewey, because then like when I go in the garage and wrench on my car or I work on her car or whatever, like that's my quiet time. And I
Yeah.
can just bash my hands and swear and bleed in peace and quiet. So she has her stuff. Like she goes and plays hockey a couple times a week. Like I love her.
Nice.
Go do it. Have fun. I'm not going. I'm staying here. I'm gonna work on my car. Like whatever. We have our separate time, which honestly makes us a little more peaceful when we're together. So I kind of prefer
That's
it
kind
that
of
way,
where
I
I'm at
guess.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah. She has her stuff. I have my stuff. We go do it, and then when we come back together, we're like happy, you know.
Now I want to make sure I throw this out here. Megan is probably going to be working on the 05 STI, and that car is technically hers. And it isn't that she isn't about cars. She likes her car, but we just like different things about cars. Okay. And that is her car, the 05 is. So like it's I don't know, it's hard to explain. But then we got into like time attack and racing and everything else, and she was about it for a very long period of time, but it definitely caused friction. And like she found that she is happier when she picks and chooses which events she goes to, and like I'm not reliant on her on being a part of the crew. I guess it works out better.
I was just curious. I had to throw the question out there directed to the guys, since you directed the question to the girl.
Yep. Solid question. Warranty, what's your take on that?
I think a lot of this is focusing on ability versus cars versus not cars. People like different things, but the people involved are so much more important than can you drive a stick shift or anything or any of these other questions that we're having. So just gotta look at the people. Cars are just a bonus to get you there.
Going back to the core of the original question, it's almost like it's like if a dude can play a guitar. Okay, I gotta be real. I am straight as an arrow. Okay, all right. Even I think that's sexy. All right, but if the dude's walking around bragging about playing a guitar, like it's no longer cool. Like you ain't cool, dude. Just you 100%. Gotta stop. Okay,
totally agree.
But so it's
what if he's bragging about it, but he's actually good?
I don't really like that either, unless you're like Slash.
Fuck you, Van Halen, then. Okay,
right?
You better be goddamn Slash. You literally better be in the fucking Hall of Fame. Because if you're not, I don't want to hear a fucking thing.
Yeah, nowadays there's so much flexing on Instagram that even if he was, I don't care. I just don't care.
Yeah, even if they're like decent, like don't brag about it. By all means, you can be like, hey dude, what are you into? Well, I got a guitar, I do okay, whatever. And then one of those times at a Christmas party, old boy picks a guitar up and it's like awesome and we're all fucking crying and yeah, that's amazing. And again, then the dude has to act like, well, this is just Tuesday. And that quiet confidence is where you're gonna like, that's the panty dropper, okay?
It's one of those things, if you find out that somebody's good at something, just you don't know that they play like if you have to brag about it, it's not an attractive quality. But if you are out with a group of people and you suddenly learn this fact about this person and they just start playing and it's really good, then that makes a person more attractive than somebody that walks around and says like, I do this all the time. Like, no. That's just my opinion. If you find something out about somebody that you didn't know before and they're really good at it, that is a more attractive quality than somebody that walks around and brags about it.
Is that like the equivalent of somebody taking you on a date on a Tuesday to Wendy's in like a Kia Forte and then just doing a perfectly executed handbrake turn when they miss their turn?
Oh.
But first of all,
this was a good handbrake turn.
Even if it was a good handbrake turn, the fact that they're in a Kia they go down on my list. I have a real beef. I'm Korean. I have a real beef with Kia and Hyundai. Wouldn't drive one, wouldn't buy one. No thanks.
Wow.
Wow. What about that Stinger? What about the V6 Stinger?
No, definitely not.
To be fair, they were kind of crap for a long time. And it wasn't until recently that they turned into nice looking, nice performing cars. And then they lost 100,000 motors to an engineering defect.
Oops.
So, all right. We got to call it at a certain point. If we got any more questions in the comments, Steph, also thanks for coming on and clearing that up for me. We spent a little more time on that than we probably should have, but whatever. This is all a good time. There was a comment in the chat asking if the flywheel lock that Company 23 makes works on aftermarket flywheels. Mark, what is your reply to that?
Yeah, it totally does. So basically, to over-explain everything, the starter gear is always in the same position. So any sort of manual flywheel will work just fine with the flywheel locker.
The tooth profile would have to be the same also, so it works with the starter. So
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Luckily for us, Subaru doesn't really change a lot of things, like low-key things over the years.
That has worked out really well for you guys.
It has worked out excellent. So
we got to do the thing here. if people were to try to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, so you can either hit me up on Facebook or Instagram at Company23. It's spelled out on Instagram with all letters. All that stuff goes directly to me, or you can hit me up on my kind of personal business Instagram, which is Mark_Company23. Or you can shoot us an email if it's a tech question that also comes to me, C23@company23.com. So it's pretty much any channel of trying to communicate with us will eventually get to me. And if you use social media, it goes directly to my nice Apple phone sitting right here. So I get back to everybody as quickly as I can. www.company23.com.
Then you guys have all your tools on there. We also carry all of Company 23's line on IAGperformance.com. And honestly, I think you guys are on almost every major Subaru retailer.
We've been super fortunate in that regard. We have a pretty decent distribution network, so we've been super fortunate.
They've taken, it's worked out really well for you guys. So you guys, Company 23 stuff. If you're buying an engine or something and you don't have the tools, ask. We could definitely add those onto your order. If you're getting them from somebody else, by all means, I'm just saying, like it is.
Yeah. And one thing I stress too, so we sponsor some Facebook groups. I stress to everybody in there, like if you ever have a question about a tool, like does this work with XYZ, or even like, hey, I blew up an EJ, like what tools do I need to rebuild it? I've sent so many emails to people with, you're gonna need this, you might want this, you don't need this, but it's bougie if you think it's cool. So I send emails to customers daily, like if they're looking for a shopping list, basically of what do I need, I make that happen too. So if you ever have any questions,
you need to have a T-shirt that says "I have bougie Company 23 tools." If you don't make that shirt, I'm gonna be really sad. Like I would buy that shirt.
Bougie tools. Just wait till you see a couple things we got coming out in the near future. It's even more bougie. So we're so I mean. We didn't touch on a lot of stuff, do we? So we might have to do this again, but basically about where we're going as a company and all that stuff. So we had some fun stuff coming.
Let's do it again, dude.
Dewey, I left. I did work. I didn't keep you on track, my man.
So
sorry, it's just another excuse for me to hear me talk.
No, let's do it again. Let's definitely do this again, dude. Maybe crazy build season is coming here real quick. Okay, everybody's kind of gearing up towards it, but it's going to get out near tax time. Maybe we have you guys back on again, and maybe we go through some lists of like what you need. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll even make like a blog post of these are the Company 23 tools you should have, and we can talk about it.
Yeah, we should, because sometimes it does get confusing with people, like what you need or don't need, or want or don't want. And I understand that. Like I was an enthusiast and bought all the Company 23 tools years before I started working for them. So I've been in the customer's shoes, so I have a pretty solid perspective of the other side of the coin too.
Let's try to plan for something, dude. Let's stay in touch. And this was a lot of fun. And it's really cool. You guys aren't a massive company, but you have a giant impact. And I got it just as an enthusiast and somebody who's been doing this a very long time. I can't thank you guys enough for making our lives so much easier. So please continue what you're doing. We're really excited to see what you come up with in the future.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, like in a market that may be shrinking from some people's perspective, with certain things happening with the EPA and yada yada yada, we're still investing, we're still growing, we still have a new product list that's coming a mile long, so we're not going anywhere.
All right,
super.
Let's do it. All right, and again, can't thank you enough. Also, Steph,
our pleasure, man.
It's been real. It's been fun. And it's been real fun, and we will see you guys next time.